The drama surrounding Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski has reached a new chapter, one filled with tension, confidence, and an unmistakable clash of mindsets. On one side stands Stefanski, the disciplined and calculated head coach of the Cleveland Browns, who made the call to list Sanders as the team's third-string quarterback. And on the other side stands Shedeur himself, the son of a legend, but determined to carve his own path, answering doubt with calm resilience and a belief that his moment is coming. The story that's unfolding isn't just about depth charts or practice reps. It's about a young quarterback being tested by the NFL machine, doubted by analysts, underestimated by coaches, yet refusing to bow to outside noise. Shedeur's latest words reveal not a broken player, but a young man sharpening his blade in silence, ready for when the lights finally come on. When reporters asked him if the second-string spot was still up for grabs, Sanders didn't flinch. He didn't play into the speculation, didn't fuel the headlines. Instead, he brushed the entire conversation aside with a level of composure that said more than any fiery response ever could. Honestly, bro, I don't look into that. I don't care. Whenever it's time for me to get out there and play, I'm a play. It wasn't defiance and it wasn't apathy. It was confidence born from a deeper understanding of himself, of the adversity he's already faced, and of the bigger purpose that drives him forward. He reminded everyone listening that while football is the stage, his motivation runs beyond stats, rankings, and personal glory. It's a lot of people in this world that's going through stuff, he said, but I'm playing for a lot more than just me. Those aren't the words of a player sulking about his spot on the depth chart. Those are the words of someone carrying a mission. Meanwhile, Kevin Stefanski's press conference confirmed what many already suspected. Joe Flacco's experience places him as the starter, Dylan Gabriel's consistency earns him the number 2 role, and Sanders, the rookie, is left as the third string. On paper, it's a simple decision. In Stefanski's world, it's a logical one. But for Shedeur, the label doesn't sting. It fuels him. He made it clear that the lights, not the practice reps, will tell the truth about who he is. Whenever. It's time for me to get out there and play, I'm a play, he repeated. When the pressure's on, you know who I am, and I'm always going to be that way. That statement alone drew a line in the sand. Stefanski may have placed him at QB3, but Sanders is betting on himself when it matters most. The real games. The real pressure, when the stakes are high and the crowd is roaring. It's this mindset that separates Shedeur from so many others who folded under similar circumstances. Lesser players allow labels to define them. They carry the weight of doubt like a burden, their confidence chipped away by critics who question their ability. But Sanders doesn't carry that weight. Instead, he walks with the calm of someone who knows that opportunity always comes. And when it does, the only question is whether you'll be ready. He's not asking for trust. He's preparing to demand it with his performance. What makes his stance even more compelling is how he frames this journey. Sanders doesn't see himself as just another quarterback chasing success. He sees himself as part of something larger. Every time he laces up, he's playing for his fans, for the people who believe in him, for those who see his grind as an extension of their own struggles. His path has never been without obstacles, injuries, critics, constant comparisons to his father. And yet, he's always found ways to rise. Regardless of pain, that's always how I've been, he explained. Even in college, even in high school, regardless of how I feel physically, I still gotta go out there and execute with no excuses. That unshakable mindset, drilled into him long before the NFL stage, is what he leans on now. Shedeur's arrival in Cleveland has given him new perspective. He describes the chance to step on an NFL field, even just in practice, as a blessing, something he once only dreamed about. Instead of viewing the waiting game as punishment, he views it as preparation. To him, patience is not passive. It's active. It's work. It's the daily grind that ensures that when opportunity comes, he's not just ready, he's unstoppable. I learn life in a different perspective, he shared. That's why I come here happy. I always got good energy because I'm blessed to come out here every day. This isn't the voice of frustration. It's the voice of someone who understands that timing in life and in football is everything. And in his most recent training session, that mindset translated into results. Early on, he looked rusty, still shaking off the effects of his injury. But then came the turning point, a throw that sliced through the air with precision, landing perfectly in stride for a touchdown that stole the spotlight. It wasn't just a completion, it was a statement. The kind of play that makes coaches pause, teammates take notice, and critics second-guess their words. It was poise, accuracy, and vision rolled into one. The mechanics, the confidence, the execution. It all reflected the player Sanders claims to be. For him, that throw wasn't about proving doubters wrong. It was about confirming what he already knows. When the lights are on, he delivers. Yet not everyone is buying it. Dillon Gabriel's earlier remarks, though later clarified, had the sting of a competitive jab. Sanders, however, refused to escalate it. "I don't even think about it," he said. "If it's not words or anything, it can't do anything to me." He revealed that Gabriel had spoken to him privately, clarifying that the comments weren't meant as they appeared. For Shedeur, that was enough. But his body language told its own story. Deep down, he knew the shot was aimed at him. And rather than retaliate with words, he chose something far more powerful: silence and focus. His message was clear. He doesn't need to win battles in the media. He'll win them on the field, but if Gabriel's words were subtle, Colin Cowherd's have been anything but. The outspoken analyst has been relentless in his criticism, hammering home the narrative that the Browns got it right by placing Gabriel ahead of Sanders. To Cowherd, the depth chart reflects reality. Gabriel, the third-round pick, belongs ahead of Sanders, the fifth-rounder. Cowherd mocked the idea that Sanders was overlooked, pointing to more than a dozen NFL teams desperate for quarterbacks, who still passed on him. To him, the draft order was the league's verdict, and Sanders is exactly where he deserves to be. He even went further, suggesting that owner Jimmy Haslam played a role in nudging the front office to draft Sanders in the first place. In Cowherd's framing, this isn't a merit story. It's nepotism, hype, and blind faith propping up a quarterback who hasn't proven a thing. But what Cowherd doesn't seem to understand is that this kind of criticism doesn't break players like Shedeur Sanders. It builds them. The doubt becomes fuel. The dismissal becomes motivation. The ridicule becomes energy. For every word spoken against him, Sanders seems to grow steadier in his response. Ignore the noise, trust the work, and wait for the lights. He's not chasing validation in August. He's preparing to take it in December. The truth is, we've seen this story before. Great athletes, especially quarterbacks, often endure this gauntlet of doubt. They're told they're too small, too raw, too inexperienced, or simply not good enough. And yet, when the opportunity arrives, when the spotlight burns hottest, the very same voices that doubted them are the first to pivot, the first to praise, the first to rewrite history. Sanders understands this cycle better than most. He knows. The glory hunters will flip the moment he succeeds. Those who dismiss him now will one day claim they believed in him all along. But he isn't chasing their approval. He's chasing greatness. What makes this chapter of his story so fascinating is the collision of two worlds. Stefanski, a coach who prides himself on structure, control, and order, has chosen the safe route. He trusts experience over potential, consistency over upside. For him, labeling Sanders as QB3 is the conservative call, the one that protects the team from risk. But Sanders represents the unpredictable, the player who might struggle one moment and dazzle the next, the player who can turn a quiet game into a highlight reel with a single throw. Stefanski sees a rookie still learning. Sanders sees a moment waiting to happen. And in that tension lies the drama that will define the Browns' season. For now, Sanders waits. He practices, he heals, he sharpens his mechanics. He leans on faith, reminding himself that God has placed the ability within him and that no critic, no coach, no analyst can strip it away. God put the ability and the power within me to not even think about nobody else's comments, he said. It is what it is. That kind of mindset is rare in a rookie. It's not arrogance, it's conviction. And it's the kind of conviction that, when finally unleashed, could shift the entire narrative. Because at the end of the day, this story won't be written by press conferences or media takes. It'll be written on the field. Sanders has made that clear from the very beginning. When the lights come on, when the pressure is highest, that's when the truth will be revealed. And when that moment comes, Kevin Stefanski will have no choice but to reconsider. Colin Cowherd will have no choice but to walk back his words. And the very same league that passed on him will have no choice but to take notice.